Hey, I was at a tournament this weekend, Jan Peterson's book, Bring Your Guns, which is a competitive event this time around. It's the second time he's hosted it in Fyn in Denmark, and it was a 22-man event, um, and it was a team event this time. So you were playing in teams of three. Unfortunately, we didn't have equal amount of teams, so there was an element of TO play, but it worked out fine. There wasn't a problem with that. So you could both win as a team and you could win as an individual. Um, and this is my sort of reflections on that. There's a lot of things that happen there that I just wanted to talk through. I also wanted to show you the pack because they had custom-made missions that one of the Danish competitive players, Anders Gerfeldt, had made, um, which were some of them really nice. One or two of them I didn't like, but some of them it changed up. It kept the game fresh, so to speak. Now, um, let me start with the results. The results were mostly expected, I guess. My team, the Danish national team, won, um, and I won individually, and Michael Fie of my Danish national team came second, right behind me. We were the only two players who had 5 wins during the weekend. We had 5 games, so so that was really good. The last player on my team, Michael Christensen, he was a little bit dissatisfied with his own results. He had a few losses, but still had 3 wins, and that was plenty to bring us in. We were way ahead of any other team at the end. I think we ended with 37 points, and the closest competitive team was 27 points. So 37 to 27, that's pretty far. Um, the maximum amount of points you could get was 45, so we were also pretty close to the max points, right? Um, so I was pretty happy about that. Um, Meta-wise, we had a fairly good spread. Um, um, However, it was clear that Jan had allowed theatre platoons and he had allowed tank platoons, and there was quite a few interesting theatre platoons, but of course the usual suspects, Silo Heights, really moved towards the top fairly easily, and the tank platoons absolutely ruled in the hands of good players. In the hands of not so competitive players, they did okay-ish. Um, but in the hands of players like myself and Michael, we absolutely we knew what we were doing, and the tank platoons is a really good tool. I am not saying that any player can just take a tank platoon and win any event if they're the only one that does it. Definitely not. I'm not. I'm actually arguing for the exact opposite. I think that player makes up a way more significant part, and I've argued for this many times. A way more significant part in who wins a tournament and who doesn't. But tank platoons are a help, especially because at this event, um, the tanks couldn't actually take objectives, and there was a lot of objective missions, but they could contest. Um, so that meant that you could use your tanks to kill enemy troops, and kill points counted in all missions more or less. They both counted for the mission win, and they also were the secondary. So kill points was a fairly good thing to get. So actually wiping the enemy off the board was really useful, and of course the Darker Stewards rule the top placements. That just automatically happens when you have a 1,000 point games with um, with a single platoon, and you allow theater platoons. That will just you will get Darker Stewards, and we got that. Both me and Michael had brought a very very similar British platoon, tank platoons with Darker Stewards. So, and that was the top two. And the third placement I really want to promote, and I'm going to do a video on that list, because that was a rookie, someone whom I faced for the first time in his first game less than a year ago at the Danish Nationals. His first game of the hobby was against me at the Danish Nationals, and I absolutely trashed him. And that was a guy called Simon. And this weekend, he came third at a very competitive event, and he beat three competitive players. That is an amazing result. That is so cool. And I'm going to review his list, and I am definitely keeping my eye on him in the future, because if he goes that far in 1 year, I am in trouble. So, yeah. So that was really cool to see. And other than that, just like those few lists aside, we had an enormous spread of very interesting units. We had people bringing 10 plus tanks and doing well. We had people bringing the new Panzer threes. Um, we had all kinds of stuff going on that was really interesting because there was a large spread, um, which is also kind of nice. I think the lowest true list was 10 or 11 order dice, and the top list, the list that had the most, was less than 20. So we also had the lists were packed in around the center there. So really nice event, and very well hosted. Jan is a bit of a chaos player. He is a bit chaotic at times, but he is really nice, and he's a very loud and calming voice in the room. So he's a really good TO to have. And I hope I'm not spoiling anything. I know that some people are thinking about bringing him into international events as a TO as well, and I would highly recommend that. Although maybe not have him decide your pack or check your lists. Have Benny do that. So I wanted to show you the list, no, the pack, and here we go. So this is the pack. This was set up by one of our local resident players. I am also going to post this on the Facebook groups as well, just because I really felt like this pack was really cool. We have the front page with the title and the location, and then the general rules of play here. They're pretty much standard. Fully painted Visuik. And here, 5 points for a win, 2 points for a draw each, 0 points for a loss. TO objectives could be 1 point. They weren't actually handed out, but that didn't matter. There were 6 missions, and 5 of them were drawn. The tiebreaker was kill dice, and it was forbidden to surrender. You play a minimum of 6 turns, although I do know that some people surrendered before that. There were people who got tabled, including one by me. All destroyed vehicles stay on the table as wrecks and count as impassable hardcover. I really like this. This is something that all TOs should deliver, say that this is how wrecks are played. Line of sight for vehicles. Jan had decided to change a little bit in how you measured line of sight. Perfectly fine, as long as you put it in your pack way ahead, and he did so. Vehicle movement measured from the front or the back. That's perfectly fine. A team for any reason, missing a player, blah blah, all of that. And then there was a really cool spread of different trophies and goodies. And of course, the player who did the absolute worst during this weekend, he got the biggest prize of them all. He got a whole starter army, which was really cool. always nice to see that the players, because you know you're you're playing for a whole weekend, you're getting your ass handed to you non-stop, and that's just no fun. So going back with a really big prize, I think you should always do that. But everyone got prizes, and it was cool, really cool. So here's the schedule. Not that important. The first mission was called Recon Enforced, and that is a version of Key Positions where we play diagonally. So there was three objectives in the center line here, and then you deployed your own objectives. So that was a really cool spin on Key Positions, and I know that it did change up how some people played it. Um, Lovely little idea. I would highly recommend this, giving it a spin. It's really worth it. Then we had Spearhead. Spearhead was a version of sectors where there was like different points, and you had to win by 3 points. So, and the cool thing here was you couldn't just step across into the opponent sector here in right in the corner. You had to go through the no man's land, because no man's land included these 18 or 12-inch zone in the middle. You had to go quite a long way to gain that. So people were pushing in this one, and there was no preparatory bombardment, which also was really nice. So you could deploy all your stuff. Also a nice spin on that. Then we had a key position again with a twist. There was a little bit extra. Um, there was objectives was 5 points worth, and kill points was 1 point worth. So you could actually play it as a kill point mission, and I know that I did. I won on kill points. We had equal amounts of objectives, and simply won on kill points. So that was pretty cool as well, and a nice little change as well. Then Breakthrough, we did not actually play this one, and I am pretty happy about that. It is a version of envelopment played on the long, on the short edges of the table. So you're playing on the like from the side to the side, right? And I think it was difficult to get this balanced. Um, there was a lot of how far can you deploy forward deployers, how far can you deploy barbed wire, or how far can you outflank, all of that. It was a bit tricky. So I think there is something here that could be worked on, and may actually work in the future. Um, but as it was written here, it fortunately it got dropped as well, so it wasn't really balanced enough. It needs a little bit of work. Attack Counterattack is a version of double envelopment, again played from on the short edges, so side to side. And other than this being really annoying that you have to go around the table edge ends of the table all the time, um, this is actually a really cool idea. It pushes the game into the center, so there's a lot of really pushing gameplay. I had a game against David from the Danish WTC team, and we were skirmishing in the center, and there was charges and counter charges, and I got to run over one of his artillery pieces with a tank. It was epic. A really, really hard fought game, and yeah, so and most of it took place right here in the center zones, which is also what you want for a game, right? That's really cool. Then we had special operations. I think this needs a minor twist. Um, uh, Basically, you have 5 objectives, and each of them are numbered, and then you draw a card, which was right next to here. So you like cut these out, and then you had a mission card. And I think we should, in order to play this fairly, I think you should change up the mission cards. I don't think it should be 3 objectives, because what you could do, and that was fairly easy. You had 5 objectives, so you could just make sure you hold 2 and you contest the third, and then the opponent couldn't win. So I don't think many people actually won by having their special mission objective. But as an idea, I really like it. because you don't know what the opponent draws, so you don't know which objectives that he wants to get to. So there's something here that could be really, really fun as well. As it was, most of us just played it as a key positions, and that worked perfectly well. So that was the pack for the tournament that I went to this weekend and that I won this weekend. I again want to say thank you to everyone who participated. I'm terribly sorry to the people whom I ran over. I hope you can live with it. And yeah, thank you so much, Jan, for hosting a beautiful tournament. Cheers.